Here for analysis, senior fellow at the Hoover Institute, Victor Davis Hanson. Victor, what do you make of this split within the Republican Party? Does it seem organic to you?
Yeah, I think it's born out of a lot of things. I think there's a lot of disappointment on the paleo right that they had the hearts and minds of MAGA and Donald Trump. And then they learned that Donald Trump is not a isolationist, he's a Jacksonian. And he feels correctly so that Israel has been one of the best friends of the United States, and he's not going to, contextualize that. And they feel that, that Israel has this, it goes way back, Rick, decades, this idea that there's a cabal of American Jews that try to fix or influence the Roosevelt administration or the Truman or Kennedy to do something that's not in the interest of the United States. And the immediate problem was Tucker, if he wants to bring in somebody and give him a platform, and I wouldn't have done it, but if you want to do that, then there's a model on the conservative side how to do it. William F. Buckley had Eldridge Cleaver, a convicted rapist, Black Panther person. He had the segregationist George Wallace. But what he did do, and Tucker did not, and as you intoned, he cross-examined him relentlessly. So the point of the interview was to warn people that these people can be dangerous. So when Tucker had Fuentes in there, all he had to do was say, I'm not going to let you talk. Each time you make a statement, I'm going to assess the validity. And anybody who watched that interview knew that almost everything that Nick Fuentes said was demonstrably false and designed for other reasons. And he didn't challenge it, and that was the problem.
Yeah, he was pandering. He was pandering to Fuentes, and his role, and I think we agree on this, should have been to challenge him. Let him speak.
Absolutely.
And let him make his positions clear, and then challenge him on those positions, especially the ones that are way out in left field. Yes. Ted Cruz is one of those who did not hide his outrage about the Fuentes interview while speaking at that Republican Jewish Coalition Summit in Las Vegas this weekend. I wanted you to hear this clip.
If you sit there and nod while someone says there's a very good argument America should have intervened on behalf of Nazi Germany in World War II. If you sit there with someone who says Adolf Hitler was very, very cool, and that their mission is to combat and defeat global Jewry, and you say nothing, then you are a coward, and you are complicit in that evil.
Yeah, his silence is basically an endorsement. So what does that tell you about Tucker Carlson and, by extension, the Heritage Foundation's Kevin Roberts?
I think it tells us that Tucker has decided to go in a direction way out of the mainstream. I've written a couple of articles and interviews about Darryl Cooper, the World War II revisionist. He's a crackpot. So was David Cullum that he had on. He's a crackpot. And Tucker Carlson, when he worked for Fox, I don't think either would have done that or would not have been allowed to, but I think he feels that he's unbound. And Ted Cruz has an especially convincing case, Rick, because he did a interview with Tucker, and Tucker was relentless. It was an ambush interview. He attacked with data and sometimes maybe with misinformation. He attacked Cruz relentlessly. And Cruz's subtext is, why would he cross-examine a fellow conservative in a very acerbic fashion and then allow somebody who's a pro-Nazi to get off scot-free? And of course,
yeah, that's a great point, Victor. Real quick, I have about 30 seconds left. National security expert Fred Fleitz wrote in part on X, quote, the Republican Party and the MAGA movement have no place for anti-Semites, Holocaust deniers, and Israel haters. These people are a tiny minority of kooks. We don't need them. America First means standing with Israel and denouncing and fighting against anti-Semitism. For me, there is no room for compromise on this. So how do you, Victor, think conservatives should handle this new faction going into the midterms and in the face of other upcoming political challenges?
I think they need to preempt. I think they have to set down the rule that any of these people who espouse these hateful views will not be part of the conservative movement, and they have to be explicit about that. And I think I think it's not a hard thing to do. Donald Trump is the most pro-Israel, pro-Jewish president we've seen. The cabinet is, this Gaza deal was the result of Jared Kushner and Stephen Witkoff, you name it. He's got some of the most talented Jewish Americans working for him, and he should not, and we should not allow these anti-Semites to tarnish that record. And our strongest friend in the Middle East is Israel. It's the only consensual government surrounded by 500 million people who live under autocracy. So it's a precious relationship. We should not let anybody endanger it.
Victor Davis Hanson, thanks so much for joining the show. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You know, folks, I thank God for my wonderful wife, my kids, my country, the greatest nation ever. And Americans like you who believe in the truth, the Chris Salcedo Show will never stop fighting for you.
The Chris Salcedo Show, for the news you need to know.